Hey, hello students, welcome here again in this class. So in the last video, we discussed about the Dalton's atomic theory and even the law of constant proportion and the law of conservation of energy. These are the two very important chemical combination laws. Okay, we studied with an example in a detailed manner. So in the today topic, we are going to study a very important topic, that is the postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. So this question may ask for the 3 marks in your examination, right? It is postulates of the Dalton's atomic theory. So then, according to the Dalton's atomic theory, what does it tells according to him, right? We'll discuss there are 6 postulates are there, which are very important. We'll discuss one by one now. The first postulate is all the matter. Discuss here. All the matter means how many matters are there? Whether it may be solid, liquid or gas. He's telling according to him, whether it may be solid, liquid or gas. All matter is made up of very tiny particles. Tiny particle means they are very small particles. That much small particles even we cannot see also. So right, there is undivisible particle. Means all matter, whether solid, liquid or gas, made up of very tiny particles. Those tiny particles are called as the atoms. Means even you can write the definition of atom this only. Means what is an atom? Means if you ask in the examination, means for 1 mark you can tell that all the matter in the universe, they are made up of very tiny particles known as atoms. Atom. Then the second property postulate. Atoms are indivisible. Particles when cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction. Means these are the indivisible particles. These cannot be divided further in a chemical reaction, and these particles, they cannot be created, they cannot be destroyed. Means in the universe, we cannot create any atoms, and even we cannot destroy any atoms in the universe. So that is the law telling us that nothing can be created. That is, the atom cannot be created and they cannot be destroyed in a chemical reaction. There are second properties. Means the atoms, they cannot be created, neither be created nor be destroyed. The third postulate. Atoms of a given element are identical, in which that is a mass and chemical properties. If consider an iron is there, iron nail is there. You have the iron nail. The iron nail is nothing but it is made up of the atoms known as Fe. There are thousands of the Fe atoms. They are combined together and they form the iron. Means when all Fe, these all are Fe combined together and they are forming an element. Right? What is Fe here? Fe is the atom. All Fe's are same by their mass and chemical properties. Means to form any element, they need the atoms, and those atoms are similar in the mass and chemical properties. They are never going to change. Fourth postulate. Atoms of different elements have the different chemical properties. Now, if you are taking the same element, they have the same chemical properties and the mass. If you are taking a different means, they have the different chemical properties. We taken here Fe. If you taken zinc, Fe and zinc both are different. We take here hydrogen, oxygen, both are different. When you are taking hydrogen, both are same. When you are taking hydrogen, oxygen, then they will be different. Means according to him, the elements of different, the atoms of different element have different chemical properties. अगर दूसरे है तो दूसरे properties रहते, अलग-अलग रहते. The fifth is atoms combine in the ratio of small whole numbers to form a compound. Simple. हनी कूड़दर हल्ला अंतला अदे मैनर अदरिदु. मतलब छोटे में हिस्से में उन्हें combine होकर एक बड़ा चीज बनाते. That is a compound. बड़ा चीज नहीं मत compound है वो. मतलब these atoms combine in a small whole numbers. छोटे whole number में combine होके एक बड़ा सा compound बना देते हैं. Right? So that is the fifth postulate. The sixth is the relative mass and kinds of atom are constant in the compound. As we discussed already, the mass never going to change. You may take in the reactant side or the product side. the mass of the reactant and product will be remain constant, so that is never going to change. So these are the 6 postulates of the Dalton's atomic theory, are very important for your in the future also when you are going for higher classes. These postulates plays a very important role in understanding about the atoms and elements and compounds, these all things. Have you understood? Then what are atoms, right? What do you mean with atoms? Actually, the atoms are building blocks of all the matters. What are atoms? Atoms are the building blocks. Means if you are constructing the building, consider the building, and if you are constructing this building means you need the blocks. Itangi enter you. Itangi bake you katlak. These all are the blocks, and these all blocks he is calling as the atom. These all are atoms only. These all are atoms. Means if it is the building is the element, means the building block of this element is the atoms. Means atoms are the building block of all the matters. All matters are, or you can say that if you can say in another manner, it is an element. Elements are combined together again to form the matter. So you can tell in that manner. So means all the atoms, they are becoming, or they are acting as the building blocks of all the matters, right? Then these atoms are very small. You cannot imagine how much small they are. They are very, very small that even we cannot see them with our naked eyes. We cannot see them with our naked eyes. Then if you are not seeing anything with your naked eyes, means what to do? We need to take the microscope, right? We need to take one of the very powerful microscopes are there. So by these microscopic images, we can see the building blocks of these matters. Means we cannot see what are the atoms are there and how they are arranged with our naked eyes. Means if the pen is there, this pen is there, means if this pen is made up of the atoms, if I am saying that this pen is made up of the atoms that are the building block of this element, but I cannot see those building blocks with our naked eyes. I can only see it's the matter, right? But I cannot see the particles of this matter. If I want to see, means I have to look at it in the microscope. In the microscope only we can see what is the particles and how they are made up of, right? How the atoms are arranged in the matter we can see. Means individually if the atoms is present, the individual atom we cannot see our naked eyes. And those atoms, they are combining in a very huge ratio to form a element, and elements are combined together to form the compound. Means atoms, if it is present in a single manner, we cannot see them, right? Simple. Then atomic radius. What is the radius of atom, sir? If you are not seeing that atom that much small, means what is the radius of atom and how the radius of the atom is measured? The radius of the atom is measured in nanometers. In examination, he will ask this question for 1 mark also. Remember this point. In which meter did the radius of the atom is measured? It is the nanometer. In the nanometer, the radius of the atom is measured. Then what do you mean by the nanometer? The nanometer is equal to 10 to the power of -9, right? So that is the nanometer. So that's about the atoms. So there are some of the examples are there. The radii of some of the examples of the elements are there. So radii is measured in the meter. Then we now only discussed about the 10 to the power of minus 9, right? So then the 10 to the power of minus 10. Example of this radii is the atom of hydrogen. The atom of hydrogen radius is about 10 to the power of minus 10. That is very, very, very small. You cannot imagine. Then 10 to the power of minus 9, nothing but these are the molecules of water. The water molecules radius is around 10 to the power of minus 9. 10 to the power of minus 8, this is the molecule of hemoglobin. The hemoglobin is what? Hemoglobin is our red color of the blood is only due to the pigment. That pigment name is the hemoglobin. Actually, our red is not blood. Red. Our blood is not red. Sorry, our blood is not red if the hemoglobin is absent. Only because of the presence of the hemoglobin, our blood is red in color. So, right, it is the pigment. So, what is the radius of this hemoglobin molecules? That is about 10 to the power of minus 8. Then 10 to the power of minus 4, it is the grains of the sand. You see that the sand grains, they are very small. Even when you are touching the sand, means there are thousands, millions of the sand grains will stick it to your hands. Means their radius is also very, very small. That's equal to the 10 to the power of minus 4. Then 10 to the power of minus 2, that is the ant size, right? The ants looks very small. Then what is the radius of that ants? That is the 10 to the power of minus 2. Then 10 to the power of minus 1, nothing but that is the watermelon. So these all are the radius of the different kinds of the example, taking from the 10 to the power of minus 10 to the 10 to the power of minus 1. Then to represent the elements, there was a big question that how to represent the elements. Whether we should use the symbols or what, that was the big question was arising on those time scientists. Then the first scientist who thought to use the symbols for the elements, his name is Dalton. The Dalton was the first ever scientist to use the symbols of the elements, right? Means on those times before the Dalton, none of the scientists were attempt to use the symbols for the elements. Then what are the modern day symbols of the elements? Means on those times, how the elements are represented, on what are the symbols they used to represent. Then one more scientist was there, his name is Berzelius. The Berzelius suggested that the symbols of the elements should be made by 1 or 2 letters of the name of the elements, right? Means according to him, the element symbol should be made by 1 or 2 letters of this element's name itself. Just example, if you're taking means a copper is represented by Cu in the form like Cu not there, U is not there, but you can represent in this form, right? Hydrogen is made up of hydrogen symbol. Nowadays we are going to represent by the H. Helium is represented by He, right? So according to him, we can use 1 or 2 letters of the name of the element itself. It's the name of the element. The first letter is the hydrogen, H is used, and the name of the element is one. The 2 letters are the He we can use, right? So means we can use the names itself, the 2 or 3 symbols of the names itself, the letters of itself, the name, to represent the symbols, right? Then in the modern days, which symbols were used to represent the elements? So we are going to discuss about that, how the symbols of the elements were represented in the modern days. We'll discuss now one by one. Then how the hydrogen was represented in the olden days or in the modern days. Hydrogen. Hydrogen was represented in the modern days as like this. It is the modern day symbol of the hydrogen. Remember, you need to practice these all symbols because they will ask. They may come in an examination for 1 to 2 marks. Right. Hydrogen represented by in this form. Then about the carbon. Carbon is represented in this form. Shade fully inside. Shade fully inside, that becomes the carbon. Then the oxygen is represented by in this form. Oxygen, just put a circle. right? Inside is what? Inside is the air. Means there use the different symbols, right? Again, we have the phosphorus. The phosphorus is represented by this like. This is the phosphorus. Then the sulfur. Sulfur is printed by in this form. Then about iron. Iron is printed by I inside the circle. Copper. Copper is printed by C inside the circle. Then the lead. Lead is printed by L inside the circle. Then the boron. Boron is printed by B inside the circle. Then about the gold. Gold is printed by G. Then it's the need of doing like this. Right, that is the gold symbol. Now about the one more element is there, that is the platina. You know that platinum is rare than the gold, the costlier than the gold, platinum. Right, that is the P inside the circle. Then the mercury, he is represented by M, and we need to shade, not M, sorry. Just there are shadings are there here. It is the mercury. So in the olden days, if they want to represent the hydrogen means, they will not write the hydrogen fully. What they will do, they'll simply take an hydrogen, the symbol circle inside a dot, that they will read as the hydrogen. Means no need to write the hydrogen here. If you are writing the symbol means you will understand that it is the hydrogen. If you want to write the oxygen, you will write directly like this. They will understand that you are writing about the oxygen. If you want to write the phosphorus, they will write in this form. You are say that it is the phosphorus. Means no need to represent the name of the elements. Only we can use the symbols of the elements to represent. In the olden days, that was the first attempt was done by who? That was a Dalton. That was a scientist who was the first ever scientist who used the symbols of the elements to represent them. Then after, the Berzelius said that no, we can even use the 1 or 2 letters of the name of the element only. That can even be the symbols of the elements. Even the name of the element was given by their place, where from where they are occurring first, right? Example is the copper. The copper is taken, the name of the copper was taken from the Cyprus. It is the place from where it was found first time. Means even depending upon the place from where it is occurred first time, even upon that place also there are some elements were named. Example, copper only, which is occurred at the Cyprus for the first time. Means the name of the copper was placed on the place from where it was firstly found. Right. Second is, nowadays nobody will put the names of the elements. Only there is an institution is there. That institution name is IUPAC, which means International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, the full form of IUPAC. Nowadays only the IUPAC has the authority to give the or to approve the names of the elements. Means nobody can give the names of any element. Only the IUPAC will approve the names of the elements. Right. In writing the element symbol, right, there is a rules is there. The first letter should be always written as capital letter in the uppercase manner. Means it is the rule of writing the chemical symbols names is there. Means always while writing the symbols of the elements, the first letter of the element should be positive, that is in uppercase, not positive, sorry, capital letter, that should be in uppercase, and the second letter should be the small letter, which is the lowercase, right? Example, you take that hydrogen. The hydrogen represented by the first capital H. There is no two what do you say letters are there. There is only one letter is there. That is the reason we are going to represent by the H only. That the first letter is the capital. Aluminium. The aluminium is represented by the two letters A and L, where the rule is telling that the first letter should be capital, and the second letter should be small. It is the uppercase and it is the lowercase, right? Even the cobalt, while representing the cobalt symbol, they are going to use the two letters, capital C and small o, where capital is the C is the capital and O is the small letter. It's the uppercase and it's the lowercase, right? So these are the elements, the rules of writing the elements. Means always while writing the symbols of the element, the first letter should be capital, which is uppercase, and the second letter should be the small, which is the lower case. So even there are some of the symbols are there which are taken from the Greek and Latin or even German and Greek words, Greek letters, right? So like examples are there. Three examples we taken here: iron, sodium and potassium. The iron is represented by IRON, but the symbol of the iron is Fe. Means in the letter there is no F and D. Then how the Fe name is came? Actually the Fe name is taken from the Latin word which means ferrum, which are the starting two letters of that word, right? Then the second is sodium. Sodium is, there is no N and A, then how the sodium is represented by the Na? That is taken out by the word natrium, which means Na, the symbol of the sodium. Potassium is represented by the K from the kalium word, right? So these all ferrum, natrium and kalium, they are taken from the Greek and Latin or German and Greek words to represent the some of the symbols of the elements. Even they are going to use in some cases the Greek, Latin and German and Greek words also. So there are some of the IUPAC names are there for some elements. IUPAC means what? It is the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. According to this one, nowadays it is only going to approve the names of the elements. Means which are the names are there which are approved by the IUPAC. Some of the names are there we are going to represent. Aluminium. First one is the element is aluminium. The aluminium is represented by the symbol is known as the Al. The first letter should be capital and the second letter should be small. First letter should be uppercase and second letter should be the lowercase small. Then the second is argon. Element is the argon. Represented by the symbol is Ar. First letter is the capital and second is the smaller. The third is the boron. Sorry, it is the barium. Barium. Ba. Symbol of the barium is Ca. Ba. You see that they are using the first two letters or the first one letters of the elements. Okay. Then the calcium. Calcium. Ca. Then about the cobalt. Carbon. Sorry. It's the carbon. Carbon is the C. Then cobalt. Cobalt means CO. The symbol of the cobalt is CO. And copper. Copper. Cu. Symbol of the copper is Cu. Then fluorine. Fluorine. F. Gold. Au. Hydrogen. H. So you see here in all the cases they are using whether the first letter or even the two letters of the name of the element. You see here aluminium is Al, argon is Ar, barium is Ba, calcium is Ca, carbon is only C, single letter is used here, cobalt is Co, copper, it is taken out by the different sides because there is no U is there, only the C is there. Fluorine used by the first letter, gold, it is again taken by the different Latin or Greek words, hydrogen represented by the H, right? Again some of the are there like iodine, Name of the element and symbols. Iodine is represented by the symbol is I. Means if you are writing the I, means it is understood that it is the iodine. Then iron. Iron is taken from the Latin word which is a ferrum. Means iron has to be represented by the symbol Fe. Then lead. Name of the element is the lead. Lead is Pb. Right. Then about the nitrogen. Element name is nitrogen. The nitrogen is represented by the N, the first letter of the element. Then oxygen. Oxygen is represented by the O. We already know, but we are very familiar with these all symbols. Potassium. Potassium is represented by the K. Now only we will discuss about this one, which is taken by the Greek Latin words. Sulfur. Sorry, which is that one? Silicon, not a sulfur, it is a silicon. Silicon represented by Si. Then silver. Silver is Ag. They are taken from Greek and Latin words. And sulfur. Sulfur is only S. Sulfur, yes. Then about the last is the element is the zinc. Right. So these all are some of the elements and the symbols. These elements names and the symbols. These names symbols of the elements. Who approved these all symbols of the elements? These are the examples of symbols of the elements which is approved by the IUPAC. That is the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry is approved these all symbols of the elements, and we discussed about these all symbols. So I hope you understood about this. So in this video we discussed about a very interesting topics, right, about the mass, atomic mass, and there are the laws we discussed, about the atoms we discussed, about the molecules we discussed, and again we discussed about the modern day symbols of represent the elements, right. We discussed about the law of constant proportion, law of conservation of mass. So many things we discussed in this video which are very important for your future also. When you are going for higher classes, then also they will going to help. And these symbols are very important. I hope you will remember all the symbols, right? When you say why a saw and see means, there are the examples are there. Whenever the people are going to tell you to write some of the reactions, you cannot use the elements name, you have to use the symbols only. So these symbols are very important for you. At least your 9th standard means at least you need to remember 50 element symbols. The names of the 50 elements and their symbols, at least you need to remember in a 9th standard. At least this much is for your, if your 9th means you need to remember at least this much, 50 elements, which are using for the reactions commonly. Not all the difficult elements and their symbols, the elements which are useful for us in the reactions and these all things, at least you need to remember those only, right? Example, these all the elements are going to use it in the reactions. So you need to remember these all things. Means whenever they will say aluminum, Al, cobalt, Co, nickel, Ni, copper, Cu, right? Then zinc, Zn, aluminum, Al, right? Gold, Au, silver, Ag, potassium, K. So you need to represent like this, right? And oxygen, O, nitrogen, N, lead, Pb. So you need to tell like this. You have to remember the symbols of the elements always. It is very compulsory for you. In upcoming classes, I hope that you will do at least the 50 elements of the periodic table, which is very important, or you represent, or you can remember this table only. That will be very useful for you. Okay. Again, we will be right back with the next topic in the next video. So stay home, stay focused. Again, I will be right back with the next topic. Bye bye.